Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat, and welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be back with y'all. Good to see you, Gale. Good to see you, Brayherd. And Gale, congratulations, you've won the crown of Firstdom. And as you say, first for Flinty Steel. Just be careful with that. Don't want you burning down your house. That would be bad. Fire is not a toy. Yes. Hey, Sub-Zero, good to see you. Yes. More observatory. Ta-da! Hey, Kit. Good to see you. Good to see you again. Fire is a toy. You disagree. Well, okay. Please be safe and don't burn down your house. He's at the office. The house is safe. Well, unless he has a house office. But good to see you, Bad Roxy. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be diving into some more Minecraft, so let's get to it. Surprise! It's Crimsonite. How you doing, Crimsonite? Okay, so the plan for today is, one, I need more copper to complete this last layer here. And then I want to start on the domed roof of this section. Can't complain? Well, that's pretty good. I experienced something today I have not experienced before. Someone complaining on my behalf. It's a bit odd. What am I looking for? I need copper. There's some copper right there, but it's not a ton. It's almost night, so... Do I still have a bed at the other place? I think I do. Yeah, we gotta go back into the mines for a bit. Wait. I just realized there's no game audio. Well, we might be playing Minecraft silently today. Fortunately, we got the music, and I never really pay attention to the sounds that much anyway. They are nice for when a zombie or something sneaks up behind you. But I think to reset it, I'd either have to close OBS, which would mean restarting the stream, and I don't feel like doing that, or unplugging and replugging in the capture device, and I don't feel like doing that either right now, because that's require me crawling under my desk. Just play Canoe Country Thunderstorm in the background. No one would notice. Well, I already have the music, so you know. I can basically hear the sounds anyway. I've played so much Minecraft. You know, just for that true Minecraft experience, we just need the occasional zombie noise, so... Brrr. You sound like me playing Dwarf Fortress. I don't see you asking. I see dwarves being ravaged by snow. Well, that's terrifying in its own right. Both what is being described and the ability. Gale, you play so much Dwarf Fortress, you see directly into the Matrix. Don't think you've played close to a year. You should fix that. Any tips on finally figuring out Dwarf Fortress? That's a good one. I remember I tried learning how to play Dwarf Fortress, and a tutorial I watched said, when the first caravan comes to town, just strip it for everything. Yeah, it'll mean traders will never come back, but your forge won't live long enough to see another trader anyway, so... It's like, oh. Remember that losing is fun, is it? My fiance says, that's Minecraft, right? It is. Hey, Clutch, good to see ya. How much copper do I even have right now? A stack and a half-ish. Water. Huh. Well, I wasn't expecting water. Minicraft. Yep. That's when you play it on your phone. Don't forget, be very careful of the cotton candy. Look, I know what the cotton candy is. You cannot trick me with that one anymore. Ooh, copper. I hope that Rangelinus knows how hard he goes. I hope he knows too. I don't know what metrics Spotify lets you look at, but I like to imagine that there's just like a huge spike. Yeah! In New York because of me. How did where did I even fall from? Made a minecart fort. It included minecarts as defense. Imagine getting hit by a minecart that rolled down 10 stories full of statues. I think that would hurt. Dwarf Fortress is a silly game. I still haven't figured out how to build a telescope. By the way. $10K monthly listeners, 15 million lifetime. I think he's doing pretty well for himself then. What a smooth landing. Making curry for dinner. Baby gets to try his first whole meal. Both those things are exciting. No, I want curry. I mean, I know we're having London broil for dinner, which is also good. Crimson Eye is redeemed a father joke. So if you don't like this one, blame Verizon, because I got this one from them. Like I was in a text chat with someone, with a support agent, and while I was on hold, they're like, "Hey, do you want to hear a bad joke?" And this is the one they told me. Chana masala, nice. Did you know that a bullfrog can jump higher than the Eiffel Tower? It really helps that the Eiffel Tower can't jump. So I think I'm actually going to use cobbled deep slate on the roof here. We used polished deep slate for the floor, but I think this has a bit more of like a starry night texture. So I think... And it'll look a little bit different from the floor. Hummingbird flying higher than Everest. Helps that Everest doesn't fly. I'm drag and drop materials instead of shift clicking. I know. It's just... I shift click to put things away, but I don't like doing it because it will autofill into your task, into your hotbar. And then I gotta manage it anyway, so it's like, eh. Circle but square? I'm gonna square the circle finally. Hey, P. Tony, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. No, I need... Well, I will need more cut copper slabs in the end, but for now, we need these. Hey, Inzaya! Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. It's so cute when couples show up in chat. I can guarantee I have 2 different couples in chat right now, and that's adorable. Need to make curry again. Got 3 more bags of Cocos. Ooh, nice. Here, and I just got done watching Survive together, and they're like, okay, doing my own thing. Bye now. 3. Well, I haven't seen Kevin the Reader. So to be fair, I cannot confirm his presence. We both came here. Ah. You'll love to see it. Hey, by the way, speaking of P. Tony, I am on P. Tony's show, Game of Favorites. Ow! Week from Friday, August the 8th. The theme is Kingdom Hearts. Save you from your wife? I can't do that. I'm not a canon lawyer. Nor can I save you from the fate that you have brought upon yourself on your own show. See, Peter's not the hugest Kingdom Hearts fan, and he just invited 4 Kingdom Hearts fans to answer questions based on Kingdom Hearts. Game of favorites? Ow, the new pain-based spin-off. Oh, pain and suffering. Hey, Trekkie. I don't have a pain and suffering tag for nothing. Gotta bring back slapstick humor. Let's bring back the Commedia dell'arte. Those discussions about carriage between Tony and Blake were your podcasts. Nice. It's hard to do slapstick when you're not in the same room. That's why I have the pain wheel. I feel like that's a form of long-distance slapstick that you can engage in. And it's only $14.99 now. Eugen's light bar flashback. Oh dear. A heart, B darkness, C light, D Xehanort. No, the answer is they're all Xehanort or Sora. Have we ever been on an episode together? I don't think so. Unless we count if you were co-hosting sometime? You're on an episode as me once. Yeah, that was great. Time to get Norded. Okay, so how wide is this space? It's 1, 2, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait. That's 19. So that'd be another 18 across. That's 37. I can do this with math because I started with full stack. So what I want, essentially, is we're going to have a dome of sorts. So I want it to come up about 3 or 4 blocks. Probably just, let's do 4. Okay, so we've got 37. So if we knock out the center piece, 36 for easy math. So we could do that in blocks of 9. Do 4 blocks of 9. So have it be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it can't be 9. That's not right. Right, because it needs to be 9, so it'd be 4 on each side. New church? No, it's going to be an observatory. This is the beginning of the orrery. We've got the sun, we've got some planets on it already. And what this is going to be is it's going to be like a shallow dome, and we're going to have a flat piece on top of it, and we're going to have a big telescope with a big dome looking out. Hey, Beer Fox, why are we doing math? Because Minecraft. It's basically Mathcraft. Problem with making curry, I add red pepper flakes based on vibes. Oh no, that could be bad for baby. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't quite work. Because No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's fine. Hey, you're a programmer, P-Tony. Don't you do math? Why am I leaning like it's gonna help? Instinct, yeah. Peter picking on math, hoping someone will defend it. People react really weirdly when I tell them I sometimes do calculus, particularly integrals, for fun. Like, it's what I do during meetings if I need to zone out. Engineering majors. I was only an engineering major for 2 years. Oof. Okay, how does this look in the daylight? Okay, that'll look pretty good, because then we'll make circles based off of each of these. I'm gonna have to have calculus as a second love, apparently. You know. Everyone needs a hobby, some more than others. I might replace this block on the outside that's touching. We'll see. So, 1, 2, 4, 5. Yep, that's what I thought. It's an engineering major for 5 years! And we wound up at the same place. Quite literally. Truckee and I were at the same seminary. Know many a priest from an engineering background. It's surprisingly common. I wonder what it is. According to my calculations, God has called me. Don't worry, Yenza. God has called P-Tony to marriage. 5. Making order out of chaos? I guess. Perfect. Hmm. 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I need to name this observatory the Brother Guy Consiglio Observatory. Because A, Brother Guy is a really cool dude and a great scientist, and B, the name Brother Guy is great. Did you plot out how this would look on graph paper? I'm out of graph paper. Actually, I'm out of engineering paper in particular. I really like that stuff. I maintain that the more you study science, the more you realize how uncertain scientific knowledge is and where the limits of scientific method lie. See more clearly how faith and reason can work together. It's good insight. There's an Orthodox priest who you've met whose previous career as a nuclear physicist. I feel like that would have some fun homily implications. You just pulled your engineering pad from storage. Why was it in storage? They're so useful. And don't forget, we're also going to have the amethysts embedded in the ceiling. Not necessarily in the exact same pattern, but a pattern. To help with the whole night sky thing. So I guess I could grab some of those. Craft paper is great for D&D character sheets. Now, one thing I could do is if I just make this circle. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. Because I was thinking, like, what if we lower it down kind of more inward, but I think that's just going to make it too confusing. Import bowl up. Uh-oh. Oh. I like the idea. We'll see what happens. Implying that this stream is democracy. Okay, so that could be the first layer. I don't mind that because a circle at this distance, this height, I mean, that's really what it is. When I get to here, it's going to have to be a little different. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 9 across, so 17. So I got to... Of course it's democratic. You can buy votes. Yeah, but why would you spend money buying votes when I've lowered the cost of the candy wheel spin? Compromise. Ah, a double candy spin. So glad I refunded you, CalMage. All right, CalMage, your candy wheel spin is holiday jelly beans, which aren't those that terrible on their own. But the thing is, Team Sword channel points for 1 collar tabs. That I have to have one of each flavor at the same time for those, and it's going to be combined with which holiday? Christmas, the holiday. Excuse me? No. I had to reset the wheel there because I'm not doing a double up. That's boring. That's a combination. It's holiday feast, St. Nicholas or St. Stephen. I don't know. Their flavors are eggnog, candy cane, pumpkin pie, cranberry, and hot chocolate. Oh, it's turn tonight. I gotta get... Hold on. I do actually have to get to safety. Lest a creeper show up and ruin everything. Do all 5 at once? Yeah, that's what I have to do. And I have to have a licorice... On top of that, I have to have an organic licorice pastille. Compromise. I'm having a full holiday breakfast in July. And some licorice. Just wanted to let you know, I like licorice, but these look like dog treats. And the problem is the pastilles are candy that you don't crunch on. How crunchy are those jelly beans? They're a little stale. Nostrovia. Oh, that, no. Tasting the licorice, but still having the smoothness of the jelly beans is a weird combo. Oh, those flavors should not go together. Why is it minty? Oh, right, there's a candy cane. Specifically, holiday jelly beans. I just put down on the pastille, and that is a lot of licorice at once. And it's minty. Minty licorice should not be a thing. Caramel candy counts as a penance for this stream. I'm gonna pull up a circle chart. All I could taste was the licorice, the candy cane, and a little bit of the cranberry. I got no pumpkin and no chocolate out of that. And no eggnog. That was a flavor of all time, chat. Thank you, Calmagent Kit. Okay, so it looks like a 17 wide circle is a 5-2 corner. Pumpkin never tastes like pumpkin anyway. Well, you're not wrong, but also, I wouldn't know. And 1, 2. Perfect! That means I did my math correctly. So we knocked that one out, that one out, and that one out. That's a lasting mint flavor. And that's not like a candy cane mint. That's like a toothpaste mint. Oh, I'm still getting hints of licorice as well. Whose bright idea was the bad candy wheel? Who tricked me into such a foul thing? My idea? Yeah, that sounds right. Wait. That's not right. That's why it's not right. Okay. That's an easy fix. Nope. Take that one out. Let's go pick up the errant blocks. Think who's Bree Bard? I can't hate Bree. She's fun. Ceiling cat. Wow, that's an old meme. Well, again, I like that Gale assumed somehow this pull was binding. I had a thought just now on the orrery. So I've been working with the assumption of making it off a central spindle and having arms out like this the entire time, which is a very common design practice of orreries. But what if everything was just suspended from the ceiling, more like a mobile? And it was just that, like, the mechanism is just out of sight. And did I say it was binding? I said it was important. Fair enough. So, like, instead of having these stick out, I could just have the luminescent rods hanging straight down from the ceiling and positioning everything, which would also let me place things kind of at an angle, so it's not just all on the 4 cardinals. I don't know why I did this with the 4 cardinals. I like this idea. I was also thinking of adding some glowstone to the sun. Is Father Evan not following democratic law? I don't know what law is being applied here. Make the sun glowstone. Make the sun glow with glowstone. Let me go to bed. Bright lights surrounded by yellow glass? That could be too, but I don't know. I had a thought of where to place the glowstone. The vote was taken. The people have spoken. Yeah? Oh, come on. It is nighttime. The old man keeps trying to bed early more at 11 after he sleeps. I'm in this picture and I don't like it. I was asleep at 9:30 last night. I was thinking of replacing these 4 blocks with the glowstone. I mean, I could just make the whole sun glowstone. Dang it. Might add glowstone to this structure as well, just to help add to the sort of the lighting. Make it incandescent like the song says. It's more of a miasma of plasma. They got it wrong in the first song. Anyway, 8 plus 17 is 25. So it's again starting off on a base of 5. The sun is a massive incandescent gas? No! No! They got it wrong! They admit that too. In Here Comes the Science, they actually do have a second song where they say the sun is a miasma of incandescent plasma. And one of the lyrics is literally, "We got it wrong. Ignore the first song." Does Minecraft have miasmas? Probably. Say it's a gigantic nuclear furnace. Furnace. Okay, so wait. Oh no, it's not out 5. It's actually out 7. I was looking at 24. Good thing I noticed that. I just built a helium temperature of millions of degrees. I'm glad we're a bunch of TMBG fans here. I've only ever gotten to see them live once. But it was a really fun show. Also, what happened to my music? Why did Spotify pause? Like, it didn't even pause. It just stopped. It was not the end of a playlist, I promise. One of the really funny things TMBG did at the live show I was at is they got into a joke argument over something. And one of them said, "We'll talk about it in the car." To which the other responded with a great smile, "We don't have a car. We only have a touring bus." All sound problems. Have you had your hearing checked? No, but I really should, if I'm honest. Speaking of having gone to shows. Nope. I screwed up somewhere. Where did I screw up? Okay, so that should be 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 1. No, I didn't screw up. I just miscounted somehow. I'm even more confused now, actually. Oh, well. What? What? Oh, I think I know where I screwed up last time. No, I did it again! I don't know what's going... I don't know how I got that right the first time, and now I've screwed up in the exact same way twice. Fortunately, this is the last loop. One, 2. 1, 2. And then 1. And then 1. Then 1, 2. And I'll go over 1. I'll go down 1, 2. I got that one right. But what's weird is I didn't have to fix the others that much, so it all worked out, whatever. Spotify! Is it called doing the same thing? I didn't do the same thing, though. Demonstrably, I did 2 different things. And also with Spotify, I don't know what's going on with it. It sounds like their servers are having an issue. 3D printing. Yeah, but there any element of change or problem you can blame on the machine. So instead, you always try to create an FLW house. FLW. Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright. I mean, that's still not nothing. Like, that's like, just because it's square doesn't mean it's not artistic. I just think that domes are cool, and also organic shapes juxtaposed with the blocks. A is a challenge that's fun, and B also creates an interesting design. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put some lights in to make that really visible. Apparently he was on the shorter side, so his personal builds have hilariously small doors. Can confirm. They actually have a study from one of his personal homes in the Met here in New York. And it's beautiful. It's done in this amazing Art Deco style. You've been to 3 Frank Lloyd Wright houses. That's awesome. Which ones? Oh yeah, you're a huge fan of Frank Lloyd Wright? Name 3 of his albums. So I think these lights are actually going to not be incorporated into the pattern. So that's why I am just doing them kind of random right now. So I think that'll be kind of more fun and interesting. Hoop spinning by the Cranky Jones. Augustus by Augustus. Army swing by the Goo Goo Dolls. Curiously enough, none of those are by Frank Lloyd Wright. Gale is fake. Frank Lloyd Wright fan confirmed. Yeah, that's pretty neat. In fact, I may not add the amethyst. I may just keep those as the ceiling and just do it without a pattern. I like the floor having a pattern because floors should have patterns. Martin House in Buffalo. Robbie House in Chicago, and Grey Cliff outside Buffalo. Cool. Name 3 albums he owned. I don't think Frank Lloyd Wright owned a Goo Goo Dolls album. I could be wrong, but I just have a sneaking suspicion. So what I was thinking for this square right here is I'm actually thinking... Actually, I don't know what I want it to be. Do we want it to be cobbled deep slate on the outside? Do we want to bring it in and just have like the cobbled deep slate like go like this, connect in that way and cover up? Because the dome, I guess I don't want lights coming out of the floor where the observatory is, so we're gonna have to build a whole nother floor on top of all of this. You accidentally turned Kyle into Frank Lloyd Wright fiend and mini architecture nerd in the process. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe bringing this in. Like, technically it'll be floating, but, like, you'll never see it. But yeah, now I'm wondering... I kind of like that. I like the cobbled deep slate being a notch in and being visible, but then that does raise the question of what to do with the floor of the next, like the carpet pattern. I could do carpet. Because if I do carpet, I could cover up whatever is block or cover up anything that's a light source. And then I can just keep this as the flooring material. I don't have to add another layer on top. But what carpet is the carpet? Or what color is the carpet then? What carpet is the carpet? My goodness. Words am hard. The carpet is the carpet, of course, except for the carpet is the walls. Uh-oh. Am I just building a padded cell for my Steve? Those aren't even the right height. Why did I remove those? I need to get those up there. Carpeted walls. Good for sound. Yeah? Oh. Speaking of which, a piece of my sound foam is missing. Just looked up and... So just a little strip, because I have this, like, narrow piece of plaster between... the... What? No! No! Bad pillager. No! Why are there pillagers? Tech carpet is bad for sound? But wouldn't it be very sound acoustically absorbent? That's why I have a rug back there that none of you can ever see. Because otherwise, my terrazzo floor would echo like crazy. Oh, it absorbs sound, therefore it's bad for sound. Well, maybe the sound just wants to take a nap. Just lie down in the plush carpet. But yeah, what color should the carpet be in the observatory space? Dark purple. Well, there's only one shade of purple in Minecraft. I mean, there is magenta. But there it is, purple dye. What does allium make? Allium makes magenta, okay. Green and blue, so it looks like you're standing on the earth while looking up to the stars. Okay, that's actually not a bad idea. I like the green and blue idea, and I could do that. I could make like little continents. And green's a bit of a pain to get, but not impossible. Oh my goodness. You know what, pillagers, if that's the way you're gonna be... Went on a hunt for cacti so it could make teal dye. I thought cacti made green. Haha, you can't get me. Wait, you have crossbows. Ah, you took out one of your own. Quit ruining the funatorium for everyone. Maybe that should be its name. The Brother Guy Funatorium. Because see, it's a play on the Exploratorium. A children's museum designed by Oppenheimer. Yes, that Oppenheimer. Gun 06 and Edge of Eternities. Oof. Well, I'm 0 for 0. Wrong Oppenheimer? I thought that... No, it's the same Oppenheimer. Frank created the Exploratorium, not Robert. Huh. I could have sworn I had heard it was the same Oppenheimer. Are they related? Still, to say there's a children's museum designed by an Oppenheimer is pretty funny in and of itself. The younger brother, still a physicist that worked on the Manhattan Project. That's not much better. In fact, that's still the same problem. Like, just because you don't have the movie doesn't mean you didn't still work on the Manhattan Project. And then made a children's museum, which is actually a very good museum, by the way. If you find yourself in the San Francisco area, it is fun for all ages, honestly, but also just, if you do have children with you, a great science museum. This probably need compromise. One of the things there's actually like a whole section on social sciences at the museum, interestingly enough. And one of them is a pair of drinking fountains that's the prisoner's dilemma. And it's choosing whether or not you get a drink, or if your partner gets a drink, or if they get squirted in the face. We have a physical nuke. That's not a good idea. I'm gonna say no. A physical nucleus? Is that compromise? Physically nucleus. Is there like a comedy reverse isekai where like someone lives in a fantasy world as like a great hero or something, you know, just chariot or bus or wagon or whatever happens, and they wake up and they just have an office job? Like, nothing's wrong, it's just kind of boring and dull. Oh, I got my answer. I don't know what I was expecting. Office Space. I believe you have my stapler. It is a genre. Oh boy. You know, the internet is a gift that just keeps on giving sometimes. Well, we have to go get more cobbled deep slate, which is not something I normally say. Yeah, look at our little observatory. I see the Endermen have been here. Gotta go way down to Goblin Town. It has a Wikipedia article. I repeat, the reverse isekai genre has a Wikipedia article. Not something I was expecting to learn today. We'll grab this copper while I'm here. I'm ignoring the lapis lazuli. Actually, I shouldn't ignore the lapis lazuli, because that can be made into blue dye. Although I do have a lot already, but I'll grab it. Why not? We're here. Oh, it's just portion. Oh. Still. Probably gonna need about 6 stacks, I figure, to finish out the layer I'm working on, and then also the sides and the top. Just a book on your baby's face while you're reading before a nap. Oh, poor baby. Now he's gonna hate books forever. Maybe absorb more of the story. Read softer books. Which, okay, to be fair, they do have soft books for children, but... That worked, but away! He's over soft books. He consumed all that content already. It's like, this is boring and outdated information. I require new Rota. I need more knowledge so my brother threw the stories at me. I don't think that's how that works, but... anyway, Rota. Today is the parable of Pearl of Great Price, which... If you're from Utah, the Pearl of Great Price often means something else, but anyway. I think this is a really hard parable for us to get. Like, on the surface, it's, like, super obvious. Like, okay, cool. This, like, the Kingdom of God relationship with Christ is really important, and I should be, working on it. And be willing to give things up for it. But I think in our modern world, we can get lost on the sort of the economic implications of it, in a sense, and just like it becomes sort of automatically too reduced to us, which I think is an interesting thing. So just like knowing ourselves and our preconceived notions and ideas, and like, oh, okay, how can I both acknowledge that and also set it aside to encounter what is deeper? You can only know so much about unicorns and counting to 5. He needs a whole book to count to 5. That's, ooh. I don't know. I don't think that's Ivy League material. Plus, there's no such thing as knowing too much about unicorns. I bet that book doesn't even mention the tapestries of the last unicorn from England. Not on the right track yet. Maybe when he's in daycare. That's fair. Or, he could be allowed to just be a baby. We still need to move orange. Need to get around to that. Baby, those are gross. I have news for you, Bedroxy. Oh, what a smooth landing. You were aware of how gross he is. Also, the nice thing about putting in glowstone here is that actually will prevent things from spawning in this space. At least it's not a gross of babies. That's a lot of babies. I put the glowstone away? Why did I do that? I'm now trying to figure out a tongue twister where it's like gross of gross babies are figuring out what gross they've made at the grocery store. Super Leia! Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Okay, we're definitely going to have to figure out the lighting situation in here. I think that's where with the orrery, if we do the suspended from the ceiling, the ender rods will actually help produce a lot of nice light. Because these windows are mostly for show, not to actually work. But, and I'll add more glowstone to the ceiling. I'm just out. So I want to get the copper cooking. Ah, yes, the beef. My backup food. So I'm running low on the bread. I'm too lazy to go to the wheat farm. and harvest. We're gonna need way more cobbled deep slate, I think, but... Does backup bread go beep, beep, beep? No, backup beef goes beef, beef. Beef, beef. Hey, Mel. I don't have that sound effect, but I do have this one.
Ah, the French.
Or I could do this one. I'm trying not to laugh at my cubicle. I'm sorry. No, I ran out. I was so close to at least completing that outer ring. I don't know how I feel about that cobbled deep slate on the outside. Which is why, actually, fortunately, I did leave the whole outside with copper. I can still do another material. So I could do brick? Like, doing brick on top of that might be good? I have so much lapis lazuli. Oh, there's an idea. As part of the green, I could do moss carpets. Right now, yeah, I could do a combination of green wool And moss carpets. I like that the moss carpet has some yellow in it. I think that would look really nice. Fortunately, if I'm just gonna cover it with carpet anyway, it literally could be any material on the inside. Because if it's not gonna be visible. There we go. So yeah, I could do all of this just in regular cobble. Because if it's gonna be carpeted anyway, so you won't see it. And I certainly have plenty of cobblestone, so... And I ever use it. I don't even use it for roads. I guess we will need to make sure that we have some cobble deep slate at one specific part, because I do need to build the staircase up to the second level. Still haven't gotten around to that. Maybe that'll be next week's project. Someone tried to confuse me the other day that the Minecraft Earth is flat. What? That's ridiculous. It has 6 flat sides. It's a cube. Gonna leave that spot blank. For now. Just to have an access point. Don't think I grabbed enough cobblestone. It's gonna be close. May not be flat, but it has sharp corners. Fourth coffee of the day. Oh, is it that kind of a day? Oof. I'm still on my 0th coffee. In fact, I haven't had anything caffeinated today. Of course, that's not too different from most days. At most, I'll have a cup of tea. 24 ounces of coffee. Well, I think that counts as more than just one. And I'm out of cobblestone. You even like coffee. It's true, I don't. I'm a tea person. But most days I don't necessarily even have a cup of tea. Mostly because I forget I have like a whole shelf on a bookshelf over there that is nothing but different kinds of teas and teacups. Like there's 8 teacups, or well, not cups, but mugs over there. And I just forget to have any. Dessert at work today. Dessert at work today was a London fog cake. Ooh, that sounds like nice. That sounds quite nice. 2 S's. I do want 2 S's in my desserts. If you drink coffee from a non-profit, then drinking coffee is a form of building the kingdom. I'll let you hold on to that one. That's why I said I'd let him hold on to that one. Gotta find a coffee brand to partner with. I'm sure there has to be someone out there who would partner. You could have a whole coffee-themed game of favorites. Personally, one of my favorite things about coffee is that the word itself and the word we use for cafe, and the word as it is in basically every language, is just a loan word from the Ethiopian cafe. Okay, long A, F, long E. If it's a loan word, do we give it back? I think Centuries have proven that we don't. But I had that revelation one day when I was driving past an Ethiopian coffee shop in DC, and I read the Amharic that was next to it, and I was just like, wait a minute, that just says cafe. Oh my goodness. What is interest on a loan word? Vowels. That's not going to be nearly enough wool to carpet this, but yeah, we're just starting off for now. Ooh, and I could even, if I take some white wool, we can make polar ice caps on this map. Use the word long enough till we get squatters' rights. No, but if you make it out of clay, you get potter's rights. See, because then we could do east to west. Have you read the books in the Bible, the Ethiopian Bible, like the one called Maccabees? Oh, Maccabean? First, second, third, fourth Maccabean? No, I actually haven't had a chance to read them, but I have read Enoch, which is in the Ethiopian canon. Can't take tricks like that. You're too fragile. Buddy, you're in the wrong line of work then with the game show. Yeah, that's all the blue we have for now. But I think that'll give us a good sense, like making these polar ice caps. Carpet on the roof? Well, this isn't the roof. This is a whole new floor where we're gonna build a telescope here, and then there's gonna be a dome for the observatory. Yeah, I don't like that cobbled deep slate there. We're gonna need something to cover it up, but we can get there. We can get there. I might just return to the sandstone. Have you preached the gospel to the four corners of this world? Well, I've preached the gospel at least to this corner of this world. Because we got... Well, it's not loading in. Because it's too far. Come on, you can load in. I believe in you. There you go. We have the Basilica, so they have that. And we do the Rotunda. Today's gospel is Pearl of Great Price. One that seems very obvious and also invites us to stop and consider and be like, what are my cultural norms and realities and things going on that I need to pay attention to in how I receive the gospel? And also, what can I learn from that and go beyond it? I have some pretty epic builds. Thank you. We have fun around here. Oops. I need some shears. I also like domes, so they show up a lot. So the Opera House over here has 3 domes. The Basilica has a dome, which we can't see anymore. This will have a dome. I like domes. Do you like domes, Peter? Do you think domes are neat? Gale likes domes. Beer Fox likes arches. I do need to incorporate more arches into my stuff. I mean, the flying buttresses are a form of arch. You ever tried to build them in Minecraft, though? I recommend looking at a circle chart to help. Or even a dome generator. Those can really help. If you want to do something like a moon. Like an orb. Dome to dome dome. Let's go to the desert and let's get some cacti because we're gonna need some green dye. And I don't remember what else in Minecraft gives green dye, and I don't know where to... I don't remember where to get moss blocks right now. I'll have to look that up. Have I tried farming snails? No, I think snails made purple dye traditionally, wasn't it? Like, wasn't that the thing in the Mediterranean where it's like everyone wanted the snails? Make their purple dye. It's an oceanic snail. Oh, did land snails make green? I mean, I imagine different forms of snails, that their shells would form different pigments. Just gotta be careful around here because there's all these pock marks from when I've mined this desert. Because like underneath here, I've basically stripped it of all of the sandstone. Also a fun way to harvest the cacti. 51 should be enough for now. I don't know if that moon is waxing or waning, but I think it is gibbous. Tis waxing. I feel like that's an especially dark spot. I gotta admit, sometimes my sense of brightness is a little thrown off because I have the studio light right in my face. So sometimes I do actually have to go back and look at the VOD or look at things offline and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that looks fine. Or, oh, no. Hey, Rado Batto. Graphing paper is good tool for Minecraft things. Oh. Square thing good for square thing. This might be the last of the copper that we need. Well, not really, because I still have to make these half slabs, but... This might get us close. But not... Ooh. Oh! Hey, let's go. That is that layer of copper completed. Instead of finding a guide for falling water, I'm going to use my drafter set and the Lego set I got for Kyle to plan the layout. Nice. Go away, creeper. I haven't finished spawn-proofing that yet, so we haven't finished laying down the carpet. But, again, I don't like this cobble deep slate, so I'm going to have to figure something out. I am kind of thinking maybe the sandstone might look good as a secondary layer there. But I do like how the inside of the planetarium portion is turning out. Again, get in touch with Aya Nasir. Oh no, never again. Never getting copper from Aya Nasir again. I think, yeah, I like the idea of suspending everything just from the ceiling with ender rods, because that'll also allow me to relocate to different angles like here, and even be able to put certain things at like a slant, so it's not all just at the central plane with its orbit. So we could have something, one thing lower on this side and like another higher up here or something like that. I'm using a compass to measure out the diameter. Like, sounds like a good plan, actually. Yeah, and maybe a little more lighting, but again, end rods will help with that. But I do like how the ceiling turned out. I think that's kind of a cool effect with the glowstone not necessarily having any rhythm to its placement. So it's kind of night skylight. And I think a few more pieces here and there would be good. But I like the combination of the floor and the amethyst and the ceiling. It feels very starry, very night sky. So, that is good progress. Look at us. Look at us. Making progress on things and stuff. But I think that is the perfect place to call it for the day. So, thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with you today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Join us again tomorrow as we start Monkey Island, the very first one. I think it's the remastered edition. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's just the one I own on Steam. But really look forward to that because I've never actually played Monkey Island. But, like, I've always wanted to, and it's kind of a classic point and click. So we'll be doing that for Throwback Thursdays until we beat it, which probably won't be too long, but hopefully. I know some of the Moon Logic things already, so like I know some of the answers. So that won't be too crazy, hopefully. And then on Monday, we're starting Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Really excited to get gommaged. Have I played Day of the Tentacle? I have, actually. I have. But yeah, we're going to get gommaged. And then Tuesday, more Wild Matter, and then midweek Minecraft as always. And a week from Friday, so not this week, but next week, I'll be on P. Tony's channel competing on Game of Faves. It's Kingdom Hearts themed. I hope I win. I might have to turn in my Kingdom Hearts nerd hat otherwise. No, I kid. So yeah, so I think that's everything. So thank you to everyone who's liked, followed, subscribed, given bits, all that good jazz. Thank you for checking out the YouTube and the Discord, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And let's see who's live that we can raid into. Gonna send you on over to Zergtron. He's a dragon kaiju VTuber. He's a fun guy. He's playing Roblox, so you know I figure going from one blocky thing to another blocky thing. Raid call is Father Raid. Spam any meat morps you've got. And again, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care and God bless.